Airbnb has announced that artificial intelligence now writes 60% of its new code. This headline suggests a future where software engineers are obsolete, replaced entirely by algorithms that generate working applications from simple prompts. But the reality is far more complex and reveals a strategic pivot that redefines what it means to own software in a modern enterprise. The real story is not about replacing engineers, but about shifting the burden of quality from the writer to the auditor. By the end of this analysis, you will understand how this shift forces non-engineers to take ownership of implementation details and why the 60% figure masks a massive increase in long-term maintenance costs. To understand the magnitude of this claim, we must first look at what the 60% actually represents. The data from major tech firms suggests that AI-assisted generation is already responsible for a significant portion of new code, yet the nature of that code is specific. The 60% figure primarily reflects AI-generated boilerplate and test generation rather than complex system logic. This distinction is critical because it means the technology is handling the repetitive, mechanical aspects of development, while humans retain control over the architectural decisions that determine how systems interact. When you generate a standard database query or write a unit test for a simple function, you are not engaging in high-level design. You are following established patterns that AI has learned from millions of existing repositories. This creates a fundamental shift in the engineering workflow. The senior engineer is no longer defined by their ability to type syntax quickly. Instead, their role evolves into that of an architectural auditor. They are responsible for verifying AI-generated integration patterns and ensuring security compliance. Because of this change, the speed of initial code delivery accelerates dramatically, but the cognitive load shifts from creation to verification. The engineer must now read, understand, and validate code they did not write, often at a rate that exceeds their natural reading speed. This creates a bottleneck where the speed of generation outpaces the speed of human review, leading to a potential accumulation of errors that only become apparent later in the lifecycle. Quick resource note: I keep a curated set of Amazon search links in the description for books, gear, and tools relevant to this channel's topics. Some are affiliate links, so I may earn a commission at no extra cost to you. Please consider supporting the channel by using those links if you find something useful. The implications of this shift extend beyond the engineering team to the entire organization. By lowering the barrier to entry for writing working code, the organization enables non-engineers to own the last mile of feature delivery. Product managers, designers, and other stakeholders can now directly prototype and validate functional components without waiting for engineering sprints. This democratization of implementation allows cross-functional teams to move faster, but it also introduces a new form of technical debt known as AI drift. When non-engineers contribute AI-generated snippets, they often lack the deep context required to refactor legacy dependencies. They write code that works today but creates hidden fragility for tomorrow. Consider the long-term maintenance burden. While AI accelerates the initial delivery of features, the cost of maintaining that code increases because the original author often lacks the historical context to explain why certain decisions were made. This is where the 60% figure becomes a strategic aspiration rather than a reflection of current reality. The metric masks a massive increase in code review overhead. The organization is essentially trading the cost of writing code for the cost of managing the integration of that code. If the system design is not strictly decoupled from the code generation, the entire architecture risks becoming unstable. The strategic value lies in the separation of concerns, where AI writes the implementation details while human oversight strictly governs the interface contracts and data flow. This dynamic forces a cultural shift where software ownership is distributed across cross-functional teams rather than siloed in engineering departments. The question of who owns the code changes from who wrote it to who understands the system boundaries. In this new model, the future of software ownership remains with those who define the system boundaries, not those who type the syntax. This means that the most valuable skills in the coming years will not be memorizing programming languages, but the ability to define clear, robust interfaces that can withstand the rapid iteration of AI-generated implementations. The data supports this view of increased complexity. Large-scale empirical studies show that a significant percentage of AI-assisted commits introduce issues, and a large portion of those issues persist as technical debt. This suggests that high adoption rates do not equate to increased quality. Instead, they introduce significant long-term maintenance costs that are often invisible in the initial productivity metrics. The organization must now invest heavily in automated testing and continuous integration pipelines to catch these issues before they reach production. Without these safeguards, the speed of development becomes a liability rather than an asset. Ultimately, the 60% claim is a signal of a deeper transformation in how software is built and maintained. It is not a miracle of productivity that eliminates the need for human oversight. It is a strategic pivot that redefines the role of the engineer and the responsibility of the non-engineer. The challenge for organizations is to manage the trade-offs between speed and stability, ensuring that the democratization of code does not lead to a collapse of system integrity. The future of software will belong to those who can navigate this new landscape, balancing the power of automation with the necessity of human judgment. Thanks for watching all the way to the end. I am a one-person team working hard to make each video better than the last. Subscribe if you found value. It is the best way to show support. Drop a comment with your biggest takeaway. See you in the next video.